Okay. If you got any comments or questions or anything, just write them down there. Okay, we'll start in a minute. It's going to be a shorter live stream than usual this time because we only got 3 shows here. And the ones I like to spend the most time on were off this week. So just write down your questions or comments. We got a bunch from Twitter this week, so yeah, we can do those in a little bit. Excuse me. Okay. Okay. Wow. Saturday, 6 p.m. People probably out doing stuff. Probably shouldn't expect a big audience tonight, but that's okay. I just got home from Christmas shopping a while ago. A little while ago. Not much to do in my town, so I'm about done for the night, but that's okay. Okay, all right, let's get started. Not expecting too many people to tune in tonight because it is Saturday. That's all right. Okay. Welcome back. Sorry we couldn't do this on Thursday as usual, but yeah, that was Thanksgiving, so blame the pilgrims. It's not my fault. As I just said before, Arrow and S.H.I.E.L.D. were off this week due to the holiday. So we got Constantine, we got Flash, and we got Gotham. And I figure I'll just give my thoughts on all of them, and then we'll do questions because it usually takes 20 minutes to a half an hour for us to accumulate some questions. So I'll just do them all in one go, and then we can do I'll do Twitter questions, and then we'll do anything in the comments section. And if you're joining us for the first time, there are occasionally technical problems. If the stream creeps out, please don't leave. I'll try to get it back up. And for the record, tonight's dinner is chicken salad and pineapple. Taking enough of that stuff. All right, so let's get this show rolling. Start with Constantine, and I'm sorry my thoughts on this one are going to be a little jumbled because I literally just finished watching the episode like 5 minutes ago, like before we started this. So I'm a little behind on. I was a little behind on that one, so I just watched it. Didn't have time to really organize my notes or compose my thoughts or anything, but I got some stuff written down here we can talk about. Anywho, Constantine, season 1, episode 5, Dance Voodoo, spelled DANSEVAUDOU. So spelled weird, so you know that's significant in some way. I couldn't tell you how. So we got Constantine investigating several murders in Louisiana that might be connected to ghosts raised by Papa Midnight, who is back this week. Oh, damn. Got to get my water. All right. This is one of the most enjoyable episodes of Constantine yet for me. Because in addition to the magic stuff being fun, this was also a compelling mystery. Probably the best one they've had so far. I was saying to myself as I was watching this, if you take out the magical stuff and the ghosts and stuff, I would still be interested in what's going on. Because I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying, the guest cast and the characters here and, what's going on with all these deaths somehow being related, but you don't know how. That's interesting. I like that. So I really enjoyed the script this week. There's something else I'm really enjoying. I really like Zed, specifically her psychic visions that she has. I think this is some of the best stuff on the show. I really like the use of imagery, how they kind of mix the real world and the visions together. Like when she's looking in that doohickey that Constantine's working on in the opener, and she's kind of like zoning in on it, and then suddenly the gun comes into frame, just like that to her head, and like, oh, holy shit, where'd that come from? And then it moves into a vision. But I like it. I like the way they incorporate the real and the imaginary like that. That's really interesting. I think they do some really cool stuff with the visuals there, and the way they transition from the real world to the imaginary place. They're getting really good at this. It's creepy, and I really enjoy that. Also, when she was walking into the elevator and into like the dark street at night and everything, that was really cool too. I like that stuff a lot. I'm really enjoying Zed as a character too. How she's got this kind of street smart practicality about her that Constantine doesn't really have because he's just such a weirdo. Like when him and Chaz are talking about, oh, how are you gonna get information from the cops? Are you gonna do all this stuff? You're gonna hypnotize him, put him under a spell or something? Zed's just like, you know what? Just let me handle this, will you? She just walks up to the cop and she cons him. Oh no, it's my sister's car. Oh, it's someone else's car. Oh, thank God. That poor man. What happened? You know, and he just tells her. Zed is really cool. I like her a lot. She's fun. So we have Papa Midnight back here. I like him too. He's interesting in that you don't know where he's coming from really. He's kind of a neutral figure where you can't trust. Constantine can't really trust him, even though he's not. It's like he's not an enemy, but he's not an ally either. He's kind of like an in-between person where sometimes he'll work against the good guys and sometimes he'll work with the good guys, but always in the sense that he's just looking out for his own interests. But he seems to have a heart at the same time. Yeah, apparently he's motivated by a dead sister that whose death he may have been responsible for or something, and that's clearly something that's eating at him. And I like that he tried to comfort the woman whose husband died in the climax there. Look, that was his time, but it's not your time. So he's not an altogether evil person, even if he might be a bad guy. There's some moral ambiguity there, which I appreciate. I hope we see more of this character because I think there's some substance there. Yeah. Okay. There's. There were some really good scares in this episode. I think they're getting better at doing these too. I love when the ghost disappeared from the back seat, and then he appeared in front of the car, and Zed just hit the pedal to the metal and ran the motherfucker over. It's great because you wouldn't expect stuff like that. And also the surprise moment when Chaz he tries to stop the ghost, she just stabs him to death. Just like that. No build up or anything. You just boom, dead. And then he comes back to life later on. They haven't explained what's going on with that yet. Looking forward to that. They need to explain that. But yeah, there was some good stuff here, and I really like the cliffhanger. This was tying in with the mythology of the show, so it's a little less standalone than the others have been so far. How he's apparently Constantine is going to be betrayed by someone he trusts, which I assume is Zed. I don't think it'll be of her own doing. We should probably be coerced or used in some way. But yeah, I like what they're setting up here. So in a lot of ways, I think this was the best episode so far. And introduced some really interesting characters, including Officer Corrigan, who I assume is going to come back at some point. They set that up They set that up in the climax. But yeah, I liked the mystery. I liked the scares were well done. I liked the little tidbits we got about Zed. Apparently, she's running from something, a family related. Generally, some pretty good acting. I like this episode. This is Constantine, it started out there. The pilot was not great, but I think since then they've really rebounded. And Constantine's turning into a good show. I'm enjoying it. And we're just going to do Gotham and then Flash, and then we'll do questions and comments after. Okay? So moving on to Gotham. Episode 10, Lovecraft. We got some hitmen, excuse me, showing up at Wayne Manor to kill Selina Kyle, who's staying there because Harvey Dent is an idiot, basically. Selina and Bruce go on the run in Gotham. Hijinks ensue. Wow. Wow, Gotham, where has this show been hiding? I'd say this was the best episode so far, easily. There was no hit and miss case of the week stuff this week. This was all dealing with the serialized plot lines that have been building up to this on and off since the pilot, and that really works in the episode's favor very well. We waste no time at the beginning. The teaser starts with hitmen already moving in on the house. We get fun moments with Bruce and Selina. We see them getting closer, but Selina still has her guard up, and every time things get too personal, she changes the subject by asking if Bruce wants to kiss her. It's cute. It is. And then the shit hits the fan immediately. Hitmen storm the house, the kids run for it, and Alfred really kicks ass in this scene. Fighting these guys off single-handedly, even nailing one of them with a gun. That was awesome. Yeah, I wasn't sure about their portrayal of Alfred at first, but him throwing down here and running into a gunfight in the climax, this is an Alfred I can get behind. This is badass. I'm really enjoying. I enjoyed that a lot. I also love Bruce and Selina on the run. With her trying to teach him how to be street smart, and him surprising her, showing her that he's got more guts than she thought, with jumping across the buildings like he did, and him kind of winning her over, not just because they're really cute together, which they are, but because you can see the writers setting the stage for their dynamic later in life. And some of the show's best moments tend to come from stuff like that. And also this is the most heavily they've focused on the kids so far. And with child actors, that's a crapshoot. But I thought they did really well here. And these scenes worked for me because the danger to them felt real this time. Unlike in the second episode, where I didn't believe for 1 second that Selina was ever in any real danger. Here I believed it, and it worked. And it's not difficult to pull that off. But when you got hitmen storming into the house with guns, trying to shoot up the place and and kill people, the danger felt real here. In the second episode, it was just like two weirdos on a bus kidnapping some kids, and it's like I didn't buy it. Here I bought it, and it worked. I also appreciated, excuse me, that they threw in some twists with Lovecraft, the guy they thought was responsible for all this, and the Wayne murders being just as clueless as the good guys were, and then ending up dead. Like in the middle of the episode, and not like the episode ending cliffhanger, like in the middle of the episode, and there was a bunch of stuff happening after that. He was just a cog in the machine, really. I didn't see that coming, and I like that because it shows that the story of who's responsible for the Wayne murders really is actually a much bigger story than it appeared to be at first. Gordon getting assigned to security at Arkham at the end, I was like, okay, whatever. They've established that Arkham is going to be kind of the battleground in this brewing mob war, but I don't know if that carried as much of a punch as it was supposed to. Maybe if they'd put over that a bunch of the criminals from the previous episodes were there, and that Gordon was going to be in deep shit working around these people, that might have worked better. As it is, I got the sense that the ending was supposed to feel more ominous than it did. Also, I got two little nitpicks here. Harvey Dent letting the information about Selina slip was pretty stupid. Yeah, he only mentioned Gordon's name, but it was still stupid. and I would think that an ADA would know better. If they reveal later on that he did that on purpose and he knew what he was doing the whole time, that's different. But if that was an honest mistake on his part, then, yeah, dumbass. Also, Fish Mooney decides to help Bullock and Alfred find the fence just because Alfred sweet talks her? Really? That's all it takes? I'm sorry, I didn't buy that. I think it does tell us that Fish probably doesn't have any knowledge of the Wayne murders, so maybe she probably wasn't involved in that. But Alfred getting her to change her tune that easily was a pretty big stretch. But anyway, nitpicks aside, this was a really good episode. I think this was the best Gotham episode yet. It's a great episode for Bruce, for Selina, and Alfred. Believe it or not, which was really surprising to me in a good way. Something else I thought helped a lot was that there was no mention of the Gordon-Barbara subplot. It wasn't addressed at all. And I realized that I didn't miss it. Or her, for that matter. That storyline is just not resonating with me. Not yet, anyway. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the most enjoyable episode of the show for me so far just kind of left that subplot out. Yeah, they need to address that storyline and try to make the stuff with Barbara more compelling. Just make me care about her and Gordon's relationship one way or another, because right now, I don't. I think if they just, 86 that character and kind of phased her out, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't complain, because it's not resonating with me at all. But anyway, that aside, it's a strong effort from Gotham here. I thought it was a fitting mid-season finale, and I'll be looking forward to the show when it comes back after the break. So good job, Gotham. Good job. Excuse me. I tend to cough a lot this time of year. Forgot to get something to drink. So, my throat gets a little raspy. It's an allergy thing. All right. Flash. Season 1, Episode 7, Power Outage. Barry fights a guy with electrical powers who manages to siphon off Barry's super speed for a while. Meanwhile, an Arrow villain takes the police precinct hostage. A better episode than last week, definitely. Which is good, because last week's episode sucked. And a big part of that was the villain. Still an underwritten villain, which is, like a bit of a habit with this show, but at least he had a clear motivation this time. You knew where he was coming from. He blamed Harrison Wells for his friends dying the night of the particle accelerator. And all right, yeah, that's not much, but at least it's something. You know why he's behaving the way that he is. But I was wondering, why, if this guy blamed Wells for his friend's death all this time, why did he wait 10 months after the particle accelerator explosion to go after Wells? Did he just get his electrical powers recently? Because if that was the reason, they should have told us that. Yeah, no, I have a feeling I'm going to be asking similar questions very often with this show because Barry was in a coma for I think 9 months, was it? And so he wakes up, and then it's not until then that all these metahumans start coming out of the woodwork. Why did they all wait 9 months to start showing up? Barry had an excuse; he was in a coma, but why was everybody else waiting to show their faces in public? Why is all this stuff just happening now? Shouldn't it have happened right after the particle accelerator went nuts? Is that a am I wrong about this? Is that like just for the sake of dramatic convenience? We're just supposed to let that go? I don't know. Oh, also, what was the deal with the villain needing to absorb electricity constantly? He said he needed to feed or something like that, but we never found out why. Was he going to die if he didn't suck up energy constantly? Again, they never told us. It's another weak part. And just for the record, excuse me. Just for the record, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did an episode last season with a villain from the Marvel Comics with very similar energy-absorbing powers, who is also named Blackout in the comics. He was creepier. Just saying. So yeah, not a perfect villain here, but he didn't have to be a step up from not Colossus last week. So at least in that sense, he was an improvement. Yeah, speaking of that guy, he was back. And now he's dead, meaning that Barry's secret identity is safe, so I guess we didn't need to take that any further. That felt like a big cop-out, I have to say. But I did like Harrison Wells letting the guy out to fight Electricity Man. For all Barry's holier-than-thou crap speech when he finds out about this, Wells made a tough call, and there were not a lot of options. I thought it was a smart thing to do, quite frankly. Risky, yes. Morally ambiguous, yes, but smart. And I would hope Barry, a character who is supposed to be smart, but more often than not seems to act really stupid, would appreciate that. It might not have been the most humane thing to do or the nicest thing to do, but Wells made a call that probably ended up saving their lives. So, stow your holier-than-thou BS, Barry. Let's see. Okay, then we've got William Tachman at the police station. I guess he's being transferred to another prison or something from Starling City. And this whole B-plot didn't carry a lot of tension for me, unfortunately, because a lot of it hinged on us caring about Eddie Thawne, and I don't really. Not yet, anyway. They just haven't really done enough with him yet. And I really liked Robert Knepper on Arrow last season, but did he even watch his performance from that episode? Because he was acting completely differently here. It made me wonder why they even bothered using William Tachman, because he was basically acting like a whole different character. So why not just use a different character? I don't know. Oh, and wasn't Tachman supposed to not have long to live? I don't know. Did they just really want to use Robert Knepper again? I can understand that, but there's some inconsistencies here. Also, it's this. I don't know. The plot just didn't really seem to go anywhere. I kind of felt like they could have just cut all that stuff out. It was the upshot at the end of the day. Oh, Barry wasn't able to save them, and it is, oh well, no, I'll be on time. I'll be there next time because you're worth being on time for. Oh yeah, okay, well, whatever. Still, I kind of felt like they could have cut that stuff out. Wasn't really that interesting. Anywho, well, yeah. I mean, if they wanted to use Robert Knepper, I can understand that. Something else I can understand them wanting to do. They're still teasing this thing with Barry and Caitlin. It looks like we're back to Barry and Caitlin having more romantic chemistry than Barry and Iris. However, I'm pretty sure the writers are doing it on purpose now. I don't know if it was necessarily on purpose before. Now I think it is. There were a couple of scenes here that were definitely pointing at Snowberry becoming a thing sooner or later. Like when Barry says he doesn't know if he can go back to being a normal person and not be the Flash anymore, and Caitlin sort of leans toward him a little bit. Before they get interrupted, you get the sense that something was about to happen there, and that relationship is going to happen at some point. It's been subtle so far, but it's there. And honestly, I'm all in favor of it. I think it makes a lot more sense than Barry and Iris does, at least right now. But the stuff with Harrison Wells is really what keeps this episode afloat. He's the most interesting character on the show for now, so far, for me anyway. Partly because of the mystery surrounding him, but also I'm not sure if he's supposed to be a good guy or a bad guy. He does seem willing to do bad things, up to and including killing people, but it all seems to be in an effort to keep Barry safe. But that in itself might have sinister implications because he might need Barry to stay alive to preserve the future where Barry mysteriously disappears, which Wells needs to happen for some mysterious reason. There's some complex stuff going on with this guy. He's no saint, clearly, but at the same time, he was willing to put his life on the line in the climax when he confronted Electricity Man. He didn't know Barry was going to be able to save him. Excuse me. He could very well have died there, but he did it anyway. So he wants to keep Barry alive for reasons that might be nefarious, but he seems willing to die to make sure that happens. This is interesting stuff, and I'm really enjoying Harrison Wells as a character right now. I think it's probably the most compelling thing about the show. Now, I thought it was really stupid that he revealed that he could walk to not Colossus. I don't know why he did that, if the point is to keep this a secret, that he's not really crippled. I would think he wouldn't want to show that to anyone. But then not Colossus was killed, so I guess that won't be an issue. Now, one nitpick I do have is that Barry chewing Wells out for using not Colossus like that just seemed kind of disingenuous to me. Accusing Wells of using people like chess pieces, granted, Barry wasn't exactly wrong about that, but it felt like the wrong time for him to say this, because that was really the first time that Barry has ever seen Wells act like that. So that accusation if that accusation had happened later in the season, I think it would have felt more appropriate than it did here. But still, I thought the episode was decent. Not great, not the best one they've done, but definitely a big step up from last week, which I thought was crap last week. Now, if last week's episode hadn't been as bad as it was, I don't know if I'd be as positive about this one as I am, but I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling generous. Okay. So that was Flash. And before we go to the peanut gallery, I got a whole bunch of Flash questions here from Twitter. So we can just go through those now. Yeah, Pedro Valente at Pedro Lunian. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. We had a bunch of questions here. Funny, the names Wells mentioned of the people who were killed in the particle accelerator explosion, the names he mentioned are all Justice League members. Yeah, I got that. I didn't notice it at first, but I heard about that on Twitter. That's a nice that was a nice touch. So I guess we should expect all those people to come back at some point. That was cool. Pedro Valente, Olicity Part 2, referring to Barry and Caitlin. Another CW show where the leading lady has no chemistry with the hero. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say she has no chemistry with him. But right now, the chemistry that they do have, it just feels more brother and sister than romantic. And I guess that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be that way because they were like brother and sister, only Barry is the one who feels differently. But still, I am feeling more of a romantic connection with Barry and Caitlin. That might change later on, but that's how it is right now. And we're talking about the scene where Barry's saying, "Oh, I don't know if I can go back to being normal." I was actually saying, "Come on, Barry, kiss her already." Yeah, it almost kind of looked like that's what was going to happen until they were interrupted, didn't it? Because Caitlin was kind of leaning in, like, "Oh, there you are," you know. Yeah, it looked like that's what they were hinting at. One question: Star Labs has no security cameras or alarms anywhere, and Cisco, Barry, and Caitlin are cool with it. That's a good point. I mean, if they're going to be housing superpowered criminals in their basement, I think they would want some kind of security. Does anyone else even work there? Because it seems like it's just the three of them. And, Barry comes and goes. But I mean, it's Wells, Cisco, Caitlin, or does anyone else? Does anyone else even work there? Do they have any security at all? Any security systems or alarms or anything? That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. That is something they should address. All right, Pedro Valente again. To me, it looked like Iris is starting to fall for the Flash. I don't know. I don't necessarily think we're there yet. Right now, I think it's mostly hero worship. But you are correct in that it does look like they're setting up a Lois in the Blur scenario here. Which, again, I'm really not a big fan of, because why would you want to lift storylines from Smallville, of all things? Yeah, we're not. It's not as hokey as that was yet, but it does seem to be heading in that direction. So I'm a little leery of it. There's still time for them to make this palatable. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt until we see more. Strippin 19. I have two theories about Professor Wells. The first is that he came from the future to a point in time before Barry got his powers. His idea being that if Barry had more time with his powers, by the time the crisis occurred, he would be fast enough to survive. The reason why he was interested in Farouk's ability to steal Barry's powers is because before he used his process on Barry, he had to make sure he could do it without killing him, so he used it on someone else, that person being Eddie Thawne, making him the man in the yellow suit, and he wanted to remove Eddie's powers so he wouldn't be a threat to Barry. Okay. Well, you put a lot of thought into this. I'll give you that. So we're assuming that Eddie Thawne may acquire Flash-like powers artificially at some point. That they may take them from Barry and give them to Eddie. But that's more time travel stuff, because then wouldn't Eddie have to go into the past to kill Barry's mother? And why would he want to do that? You know, it's not saying it's impossible, but there's some other stuff to think about here. But yeah, you might be onto something. My other theory is that Professor Wells is Eobard Thrawn, and the effects of time travel caused him to develop a split personality with Harrison Wells, who wants to protect Barry, and Professor Zoom, who wants to destroy and replace Barry. My only problem with this theory is that I've seen pictures of the Reverse Flash, and while I couldn't tell who it was by the face, the person has a bigger build than the actor who plays Harrison Wells. Well, some of that could just be the suit. You know, we don't know. Plus, I mean, if we're assuming that Professor Zoom has Flash-based powers, you know, he's not using them. Yeah, he's sticking to his wheelchair, even though he doesn't need it. But maybe if he doesn't use the powers, he loses muscle mass. Maybe he would gain that back if he used the powers more. I'm not sure, but yeah, you could be onto something here. Again, I'm not really well versed in the Flash comics, so I'm not sure how faithful or unfaithful that would be to the source material. I suppose it's possible, though. Okay. Okay. Go to the comments section. NJ, you want to see Batman in Gotham? Well, Bruce Wayne is currently about 12 or 13, so probably going to have to wait a while on that one. The Save Me one. It's funny how Gotham had one of its best episodes yet, and Barbara is nowhere to be seen. Yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence. And plus, if Fish starts crushing on Alfred, that's going to be awesome. I kind of got that. I kind of got the impression that they might do something like that. Wasn't that weird? Yeah, Alfred kind of flirts her up a little bit, and suddenly she's giving them all this help. That was kind of strange. Boy, it'd be weird if they went down that road, wouldn't it? Where? Well, why not, I guess. That'd be one way to keep Bruce connected to all these criminal goings-on. The Save Me one. Do you think it's too soon for a Flash versus Arrow crossover? Seems like they would give Flash a full season first. No. No, I don't think so. I think it's I think they're just trying to strike while the iron's hot. I can appreciate that. You know, one of the things people complained about with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first season was that they were just taking a long time to really get the story moving. Now, granted, they were handcuffed by a lot of things. They had to wait for the movie tie-in to happen before they could really pull the trigger on a lot of stuff. But here it's like, well, you got Arrow, you got Flash. They're in the same universe. People want to see it. Yeah, I believe Flash had like the biggest debut in the history of the CW network. It's a hot show right now, and people are talking about it. Why not take advantage of that and do the crossover when the excitement is really high? I mean, if they were, why risk waiting for it and risk all that excitement dying down? I think no, strike while the iron's hot and do it now, and people really want to see it. Duke Nukem 3DO, thoughts on the upcoming Laurel Black Canary arc on Arrow? Oh boy. Well, if you didn't hear about this, apparently the Arrow producers are planning a three-part story over 3 episodes. I believe it's 10, 11, and 12 this season. That is going to be spotlighting Laurel, and it's going to be all about her becoming Black Canary. I don't like this idea for a number of reasons. Number one, it's too damn soon. It feels way too soon for her to becoming Black Canary. I mean, so I think that'll happen after the mid-season break. Next episode is 8. And so, all right, maybe after the mid-season break. So by that point, Laurel will have been training with Ted Grant. Let's be generous. 4 months. 4 months! So, training for 4 months, and she's ready to become Black Canary, to put on a costume and hit the streets and start fighting crime as a vigilante. Oliver trained for 5 years to become the Arrow. Sarah trained with the League of Assassins for 5 years. Laurel is going to be ready after 4 months? She's ready to put on a costume and start fighting crime as a vigilante after 4 fucking months? No, it's too soon. Okay, at least wait until the end of the season. Even Roy didn't get his costume that soon. I mean, they did an episode just a few weeks ago where she tried to be a vigilante and she got her ass kicked by some Joe Schmo on the street. And already she's going to be putting the costume on? No, it's too soon. I don't like this. I just think that's a bad way to go. Plus, a 3-episode story spotlighting Laurel. Do you have any idea how painful that is going to be? Do the writers not understand that people don't like this character? Oh, man. This is going to be brutal. I don't like this idea. Oh, boy. Not looking forward to that. That gaming asshole. Apparently, Catwoman is fucking determined to make out with Bruce. She acts like she's dying of cancer and the only cure is his saliva. Also, crazy stalker Ivy is crazy. I guess that's what being a sterile half-plant does to a girl. Yeah. Selena's really cute the way she does that. I think part of it is just her teasing him because it kind of makes him a little nervous. But I also think part of it is just her just a way of deflecting attention away from stuff that hits too close to home for her. Because you notice, he talks about, if he wants to kiss her, like every time stuff gets personal. Like in this episode, I think it was, or maybe it was the last one, I'm not sure. They were talking about, I think, Bruce's mother. So the topic of parents comes up. And suddenly she tries to just lighten the mood. It's like, so, hey, want to kiss me or what? So I think it's part of a coping mechanism because it's when the subject gets to something that might be painful for her, she just doesn't want to deal with it. So she tries to change the subject to something that she can control, something that's, she can just be playful about. And I like that. That feels like Catwoman to me. But it is funny how she kind of focused on that specifically. So I think she kind of likes Bruce, even though I don't think she necessarily wants to. I think she tries not to, but she just has a soft spot for him, and that's good. That's Catwoman. Oh yeah. Now we saw Ivy Pepper again. Ivy Pepper. Her name is Pamela Isley. God damn it. But yeah, we saw her again for the first time since the pilot. I guess she ran away from her foster family. I like the actress that got to play her. She's pretty creepy. Although I am very curious about why Selena is so freaked out by her. I mean, it's just like she's what 8 years old. Wonder what she did to instill that kind of fear in Selena. I'm curious about this. That gaming asshole. Also, how the fuck is Mayor James still, like, mayor or whatever? Do federal prosecutors not exist now? I mean, I get it. This city is corrupt, as Bane put it, but Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of wondering that myself. Like when Lovecraft was killed, Gordon basically Gordon tells the truth, and he says no, a suicide is much cleaner. Like, well, cleaner than what? Is there anything here that could really implicate you? I mean, I don't know if this guy is supposed to be evil or just a dick. I kind of wish the mayor was a supervillain, because then his, the way he acts would be somewhat explainable. But no, he's just a big dick. At least right now. And I'm also wondering how he stays in office. I mean, is the city just that corrupt that no one has a problem with any of the stuff he does? And the fact that apparently the answer is yes just kind of weirds me out. It's one of the initial problems I had with the show was that the corruption in the city is just taken to such levels that it almost feels cartoonish. It doesn't feel real to me. But yeah, I'm definitely with you on the mayor. That gaming asshole. There is a character like Blackout from the comics called Parasite. Yeah, I know about Parasite. But he looks different and is way, way more powerful. Like, he fights Superman to a standstill, regularly powerful. Yeah. Yeah, I know about that guy. I doubt that Girder is dead. He's died before, but since he's like living molten steel, he seems to get back up pretty easily. Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder, would they still be able to feel his pulse if he's basically made of metal? And plus, comic book universe. So, people really stay dead. Plus, I would be disappointed if he was dead because that would be such a cop-out. Because this guy knows who Barry is, knows exactly how to hurt Barry, who to go after to hurt Barry, and to just kill him off so they wouldn't have to deal with that would be so cheap. So I hope the guy is still alive. Okay. Costaletius, spoiler alert. How excited are you for Flash episode 9 when Reverse Flash debuts? Any thoughts? I'm very surprised that excuse me. I'm very surprised that they're doing Reverse Flash so soon. I thought they'd wait a while for that. I think I'm still in Smallville mode here, where I expect them to kind of spend the entire season building up to like the debut of this huge bad guy from the comics who was then defeated in like one episode. But no, they're going a different way here. They're bringing the Reverse Flash in early, which I like. Supposedly, he's going to be blurring his face out so you can't see who he is. So I assume it's going to be someone we already know. Maybe Harrison Wells, maybe Eddie Thawne. I don't know, but I would count on it being someone that we've already seen before. And I'm glad they're doing it so soon. I like that. Again, just strike while the iron's hot. Just hit the afterburners and really get into the story. And don't let it slow down. The Save Me one. I think that the problem with Barbara is that we want to see shades of Babs / Batgirl in her. Barbara should be showing us where her daughter gets her brains and spunk. Instead, Barbara comes across dumb, whiny, and unfaithful. That's a good point. Maybe if there was a little more of Babs in her, I wouldn't find this character so useless. But, that's not what we're getting. I think so far, she's mainly only been there to kind of service Gordon's story. So she's kind of been an extension of him. And she doesn't really feel like her own person yet. And if there were more shades of Babs there, I think I'd at least be willing to spend more time with her, but there really isn't so far. I mean, this character just feels really unnecessary. Again, she's gone now. Gordon doesn't even seem bothered by it. So why should we be bothered by it? I want to like Barbara as a character, but she just feels kind of superfluous and unnecessary. I get nothing from her, which is a shame because I think we're supposed to. Strippin 19. To me, one of the biggest things that says Wells isn't Professor Zoom is the fact that when he was naming off the people who died, he sounded remorseful. When Eobard Thrawn had sympathy for while Eobard Thrawn had sympathy for anyone. Okay, maybe. Or maybe Wells is just a really good actor. We don't know. You may have a point there. But, we do know that Wells is not being honest about a great many things. So it could be that he's just really good at deception. But again, you might have a point there. NJ Brady. So Bruce is 13. Robin is how young? We don't know. Well, Robin, we don't know if Dick Grayson has not appeared in the show yet. If he's even been born yet, he'd be, probably just a baby. I think there was talk about this the circus, them doing an episode with the circus with the Flying Graysons would be in the future, I guess, as like a precursor to the Robin story. But I think Robin is going to, and anything with Robin is going to would happen beyond the scope of this series. I mean, we're talking about prequel series that isn't even going to have Batman in it. This is the story of how Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. So obviously, Robin is not going to factor in, at least not for a very long time. And if he did, we wouldn't see Robin. We'd see Dick Grayson or Tim Drake or one of those. Excuse me. TKO Rising. What do you think about the new Star Wars The Force Awakens teaser trailer? And do you have any theory this Darth Sith in the snow could turn out to be Revan from the Old Republic game? Well, I did see it. It's good. Like a good like a teaser is supposed to do. It really tells us nothing. Just a few images, and then just to tell us that the movie is out there and it's coming. I think it looked good. I very much appreciate that they filmed it on location and not just in front of a blue screen like George Lucas did. So the locations look like real locations and not just a bunch of cartoon shit. The CG is integrated so much better. It looks more like Star Wars than the prequels did. I very much appreciate that. But yeah, that dark Sith person in the snow. I have no idea who that is. I think one person theorized that it could be Gwendolyn Christie's character, which I would be fine with. I think a female Sith would be really cool. I don't know about that broadsword lightsaber though. I'll reserve judgment until I see more, but that just seems kind of silly because you got the two little blades on the hilt. That seems like something that would be extraordinarily dangerous to the person wielding the lightsaber. Because you got this super long blade, and you get these two little pieces on the hilt. That could you could so easily hurt, like kill yourself, or like cut your arm off, or just impale yourself with one of those things on the hilt. I guess you'd have to be like really highly trained, like highly skilled to use that. But I mean, what? Why even run the risk? I mean, it wouldn't work as a weapon, not really. Because, and again, super long blade. I mean, a person, you have to get like really up close and personal to the guy you're fighting to be able to use the hilt effectively. And wouldn't the point of the extra long blade be to avoid close encounters? I don't know. I'm all for using different types of lightsaber weapons, and I love the saber staff that they introduced with Darth Maul. I love that one. But this, I don't know. This just felt a little hokey. Well, yeah, that shot of the Millennium Falcon at the end, that was awesome. Love that. I am still a little gun-shy about them doing new Star Wars movies again. Part of me just really wishes they would stick to like Old Republic stuff, because they're doing another adventure with Luke and company. It's like, oh man, as bad as the prequels were, at least they didn't ruin the originals. If these new movies don't work, it's gonna color my perception of the originals, and God help them if they do that. Oh man. So far, everything looks good. I'm encouraged. I want to see more, but I'm nervous about this whole thing. Now, the Jurassic World trailer, that was that I had quite a lot of issues with. But yeah, for a teaser trailer for The Force Awakens, it was good. I liked it. That gaming asshole. I didn't know about the Laurel arc. Dear Christ. Yeah, I know, right? 3 episodes in a row spotlighting Laurel. Oh, God. That's gonna be fucking rough. Oh, boy. All right, well, that's it for questions, but well, I've only been here for an hour, so I can hang out for a little while longer. If we're talking about trailers, I can give my thoughts on the Jurassic World trailer if you want. So many people seem like they're really excited about this based on the trailer. I don't understand why. Okay, we all know what the dinosaurs look like by now. I guess the big thing in this one is that the park is open now. So all this new potential for mayhem. They're back on the island. It's a park, and there's all the story potential there. There's so many. We have to take so much of this with a grain of salt. After all the shit that went down in the first 3 movies, to accept that they could even open the park in the first place. And that you've got all this... there was this one shot where they had tourists canoeing down a river, and you had like stegosauruses and apatosauruses right there on the riverbank, like 10 feet away. There's nothing to protect these tourists. Okay, pray there are no like loud noises or like no lightning strikes or anything to spook these critters, because one stampede and those tourists are dead. There's nothing to protect them. They're all out in the open with the dinosaurs are right there, and nobody thought something bad could possibly happen with this? Really? That seems extraordinarily dangerous. Am I the only one who thinks this? At least when they have them in that field with like the apatosauruses, and they're in that like that sphere plastic bubble thing. At least that looks like it's supposed to offer them some protection, but what about those people in the canoes? What's going to protect them if something goes wrong? And then they have all this other stuff where apparently there's geneticists who have created a genetically modified hybrid dinosaur. First of all, why on God's green earth would you even want to do that? What would be the point? Okay, you're already playing God by bringing these creatures back to life in the first place. Now you're creating a dinosaur, a new dinosaur. Okay, was this park that's overflowing with paying customers not doing well enough? Was it not doing enough business that you had to create a dinosaur that nobody's ever seen before? Why would you even want to do that? And not one of your scientists thought that something could possibly go wrong here. You know, at least with raptors and the T-Rex and stuff, you have an idea of what to expect. With creating a new dinosaur, nobody thinks this could in some way backfire on them. And spoiler alert, it does. This part just seemed like every run-of-the-mill science gone wrong survival flick that Hollywood has churned out in the last 20 years. Maybe it was just not a very good trailer. Maybe if they cut it together, it would cut it differently with the different footage. Maybe. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like they were out of really compelling ideas, and they're relying on the park being opened as kind of as being the big hook to lure people to the theaters. But I'm sure I'll see it. But, it's kind of just a sense of I saw all the other ones, so I guess I'm committed at this point. But yeah, I'm not incredibly optimistic about that. Jurassic Park 2 and 3 were so bad. Well, 2 was horrendous. 3 was slightly better. Well, it wasn't better, but it wasn't quite as... It wasn't much better, but it wasn't as terrible as 2 was. It was less bad, but it wasn't more good, I guess. And, excuse my poor phrasing here. I'm not sure how to word it either way. Even the first one gets slightly overrated at times. Not saying it isn't a great movie, but it's got its share of problems that some people don't talk about. I watched the Nostalgia Critics review of Jurassic Park. If you want that explained to you. But yeah, Jurassic World, again, it looks nice, but I can already tell this story is just, it's going to feel weak. We had Chris Pratt. I like the cast. Chris Pratt is a big rising star. I think Bryce Dallas Howard is a very underrated actress. Yeah, they've got good actors in there, but that's not going to save it if the story doesn't hold water. Based on what I'm seeing here, I don't know if they've got much of a story here. But we'll see. Come on, Google Plus. All right, here we go. NJ, the cast of Gotham characters, are you happy with them, or do you have a better actor or actress in mind for any of them? Generally, I'm pretty happy with the Gotham cast. I think the guy playing Penguin is my favorite, but I think he's pretty much everyone's favorite. Again, I really like the Nigma. I like the girl playing Selena Kyle a lot. I think that's great casting. If I have to pick one person that kind of bugs me, and I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by this, Jada Pinkett Smith as Fish Mooney. It just seems week in, week out, she seems very over the top, and for lack of a better word, comic booky. It just seems like she's on a different wavelength from the rest of the cast, where she's kind of hamming it up and just chewing way too much scenery. She has toned it down in recent episodes, but I'm constantly aware that she's acting. How else do I say it? Something just always feels off about her. Everyone else in the cast seems to gel very well, but it's like they're over here, they're here, and she's here. There's some separation there where it's not meshing well. She has toned down the scenery chewing to an extent, and I think that's helped. But she's generally her performance is generally the one that I just kind of notice and tilt my head at. Maybe if they'd recast that one, if they'd gotten a different actress to play Fish Mooney, I wouldn't have. That might have been a good idea. Although who would I cast as her if not Jada Pinkett Smith? I don't know. African American actress, 40-ish. Who else is going to be? I don't know. Cast a talented unknown. NJ, so Bruce is 13. Robin is how young? Probably hasn't been born yet. I don't know. Excuse me. The Save Me one. A few sites are saying something is going to go down with Fitz and Simmons Tuesday. It's supposed to be a tearjerker. Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that. This came out, Entertainment Weekly does spoiler columns every week, and now they broke this one. Apparently, this Tuesday on S.H.I.E.L.D., Fitz and Simmons are finally going to talk about. It was strange the way they said this. They said Fitz and Simmons are finally going to talk about the reasons for him sacrificing himself to save her in the season 1 finale. I wonder if this was just a strange choice of words by the writer of the article, or if that's implying something. Because I would think that Simmons knows why he did it. I would think that's pretty obvious. Unless maybe she's been in kind of denial about it. And the way that she's kind of avoided that issue would possibly hint at her being in sort of denial about it. Or I don't know. Just let me show you was, I guess, ambiguous enough that she might need it explained a little more thoroughly. Does he have to spell it out for her? I know we've been best friends and kind of joined at the hip for 10 years, but after you threw yourself out of the plane, I realized that I was in love with you. Does she need it spelled out for her? I don't know, but yeah, apparently they're finally going to talk about the elephant in the room this Tuesday, and I can't fucking wait. I waited all summer for this. Been waiting all season 2 so far for them to talk about this. They've had like one conversation in the first 8 episodes of this season. One conversation where it was Fitz and the real Simmons actually talking. Now, him talking with the hallucination with Phantom Simmons, that doesn't count. Not really. No, but yeah, this Tuesday, they're finally going to talk. And there were these promo pictures released, where I think they're somewhere in the city that they're looking for, the ancient city. They're somewhere indoors, and you get apparently they're working with the dwarf drones or something. They're over here. Mac is over here, and then there's pictures of Mac and Coulson and Bobby kind of looking over there and be like, so I kind of feel like Fitz and Simmons are gonna like start arguing about something, and they're just gonna kind of forget that everyone and anyone else is there, and the others are standing over there being like, "Can we politely excuse ourselves here? It's getting a little uncomfortable," you know. So yeah, it was recommended by the writer of the article that we have some tissues handy. So I better be ready for these two to rip my guts out again. And I know they can do it because that's scene in the pod in the season 1 finale. That still gets me every time I watch it. If this is anything like that, there could be tears again. God damn it. And I actually did cry at that scene in the season 1 finale. So this is, yeah, they built this up a lot, and I've been waiting a very long time to see this. So it's gonna, I think, yeah, I just hope it's good. I think it will be because, you know, like I said, these are the two best actors on the show, in my opinion. So I think they can pull it off. I'm really looking forward to this. Let's see. The Save Me one. I want Jeff Goldblum back. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy Ian Malcolm. Even though they were kind of pushing it in the Lost World, where it was like, well, it kind of felt like he was the only guy that could get from the original cast to star in the movie. And they had this, you know, the story was really weak, but hey, we got Ian Malcolm. We got Ian Malcolm here. You know, it would be cool if they could fit him in there somehow, but I mean, how could they possibly convince Ian Malcolm to go back on that island? Would they have to send his girlfriend there again? Or his kids or something? I don't know. NJ, Game of Thrones is coming back soon. So happy about this news. Well, not soon. I mean, it's next year. You know, there's some time to wait still. But yeah, we have a little teaser that's out. Apparently, Arya is going to be going down a dark path. So, guess she's going to be learning a lot from the Faceless Men. All right. Is there anything else? All right. I guess that's it. Shorter video than usual here. But like I said, you know, Shield and Arrow were off this week. They're back. They're back this week, though. So, but Gotham is now on mid-season hiatus, I believe. So we're gonna have Constantine, Arrow, Flash, and Shield for the next 2-3 weeks. Not sure how many it is, but yeah. So that'll be what we're covering for the next couple weeks. And then we got the mid-season hiatus, and then we got Agent Carter starting in January, I believe. And I guess we can cover that if you guys want. It looks interesting. I still wonder why an Agent Carter series is really necessary when there's so many other Marvel properties you could have done. You know, Peggy's not even that big of a character, really. But it could be good. I'm interested to see how they do that as a period piece. But yeah, I like Haley Atwell, so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, that'll be it for the show this week. Thanks everybody for joining me. And now it's it's a Saturday, so you might have had other stuff to do, but just wanted to get the show out there because we couldn't do it on Thursday. This was the earliest day I could do it. And again, Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Later.